and we're now going to have a discussion about where AAA publishing fits in the mobile market and what the attitude of AAA publishers is. So I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to the stage Activision's VP of Product Management and Strategy, Enrico D'Angelo, who'd like to come and join me. We've got water. We'll have a fire shortly. Oh. Okay, people going in, people coming out. Right. Are we going to have a fire? Cue fire. Cool. All right. Enrico, how are you doing?
Good.
So, first off, just for the benefit of video and for everybody, can you explain what it is, what you do at Activision, where you kind of fit in?
Sure. So I'm basically responsible for everything free-to-play under the Call of Duty banner. So we have a PC business and a mobile business. The PC business is actually not very well known because our big game is only available in China. It's Call of Duty Online. So it's reasonably big down there, but we haven't really made the decision to bring it over to the West.
Yeah.
And then on the mobile side, we have a few products out and hopefully more to come.
Okay. So let's kind of crack in. So obviously mobile, according to, you can cut it in various different ways, but mobile is currently appears to be the biggest part of the games industry currently. It's kind of gone from being like a bit of the outsider bit to just sort of taking over. Obviously, it depends how you cut it and which part of the country. But so how important is it for a AAA games publisher? You're doing quite well on PC and consoles.
Right. I think it's very important. Obviously, we look at the market continuously and strategically, and obviously mobile is a high growth segment, and that's undeniable, and everybody knows that, right?
Sure.
At the same time, we also know that our gamers, our communities are very engaged in mobile. So we're always striving to engage our communities on as many platforms as we can and get our brands in front of them all the time and have them engage with our brands all the time. So we know that they love mobile games, they play a lot of mobile games, so we have to be there because we want them to consume our content on mobile as well. And we also believe that AAA franchises are actually very powerful on mobile. I think the two talks that we listened to previously I think confirmed that, and we absolutely agree with that. I think especially in an environment like today's where user acquisition is getting really tough, having a brand that already has a user base, a huge user base of gamers, is a big advantage.
Yeah. No, fair enough. No, it's very interesting. Daniel's talking about how you can adapt the game as well. I think obviously there are different players in the mobile space, different established players, and I think aside from EA, who kind of approached it really early with Jamdat, and they kind of went in, they got PopCap later. AAA games publishers were quite late to the party in this way. It's quite kind of slow to embrace that. Do you think there's any reason for that?
Well, there's many reasons. I think it depends on the publisher. To be honest, some publishers are more open to experimentation and seeing new markets and new opportunities and jump on them and try until they succeed. Other publishers are more careful, and they want to see a proven business model, a repeatable business model before they actually jump in and make the investment. So I can't really speak to other publisher strategies, but as far as we're concerned, we've obviously followed the market for a while, and at some point we decided that it was mature enough and big enough to make the jump.
You decided to enter. You hadn't picked up on that. Was that appeared in the news recently?
Exactly. I mean, Activision is all about big bets. Our portfolio is very focused. We're all about few very big bets and games, and I think the same approach would be applicable to.
You certainly made a big bet, and it was a good acquisition. I guess you obviously say you're in charge of kind of Call of Duty. Is it? Do you think that kind of Activision and other publishers seeing it as a space for extending existing franchises or something to play with kind of new franchises?
So I would say that we obviously play the space to our advantage. So we have a built-in user base and community that is very active, that loves our brands, and I think it would be unwise to start by not taking advantage of what we have. At the same time, it is our strong conviction that if we do something on mobile, it has to be made for mobile. So taking a successful console product and copying it on glass, we don't think that's the right way to go. And I mean, I think there are plenty of examples of games failing because of that, or games that didn't do that and succeeded. So whatever we do, it's fair to say they will be built from the ground up for mobile, and likely leverage the advantages that we have as far as our communities.
No, that makes absolute sense. I think, sort of skipping aside to the global market a little bit, this sort of track is East meets West, and we'll later on be talking about the sort of Chinese, Japanese, Korean markets. Obviously, big Eastern players like kind of Tencent and SoftBank and NetEase are now competing head-to-head in this market with kind of Western ones, and it's obviously been a very big acquisition from Tencent recently. Does this kind of drive a different approach, or do you just kind of stick to your strengths and go on what you're doing?
I don't think it drives a different approach when it comes to the West. I also think that China, and I mean I talk about China because it's the market that I know best. I can't say I've spent too much time in South Korea or Japan, but China is an incredible market. It's growing. It's still in its infancy as far as what's possible and what has been done. So I look at that as an opportunity for Western brands and publishers to actually establish products in that market. At the same time, it's a very different market from mobile-wise from what we know here. Gamers have different preferences. The genres that they play are completely different. If you look at the top 10 grossing in China, most of the games are ports from PC. And the biggest genres are the biggest genres on PC, from MOBA to shooters to hardcore RPGs. And if you look at our top 10, it actually looks quite different. And so I think you need to understand what that audience wants to create the right product for that audience. And again, it's easier said than done. There are examples of Western companies that have done very well in China. I mean, obviously Blizzard is one of them. Their Hearthstone has been really doing really well down there. Supercell obviously is doing a fantastic job down there. But generally speaking, it's very hard, especially for specific genres and IPs. It's a matter of controls and metagame and visuals. There's a lot of adaptation that needs to occur, and I think obviously we work with Tencent on our PC product, and I've seen it, firsthand, what it takes to actually take an established, brand like Call of Duty, making a shooter. So we're not even making like something different, but the amount of detail and work that you need to put in to create something that is compelling for that audience is massive. So it's an opportunity, I would say, but not something to be taken lightly. And I'm convinced that a partner adds a lot of value in that context.
That makes absolute sense. I guess obviously you've got cross-platform brands. You've got things that are very successful on console, very successful on PC. Do you see, back in the day, it used to be the idea that mobile was going to be this kind of augmentation of those things, that was going to be this kind of third screen gaming and stuff. Is that something you kind of believe in? Do you think that's something that, I say it's kind of it's something that complements rather than is a game experience on its own, or is that?
Well, I mean, I think that the idea of second screen has yet to catch on as far as a purely complementary or companion type of experience. What I think that at the end of the day, each experience on each screen has to be compelling by itself. If there's a good feature that you're now moving to a second screen, and it's a good feature, it should probably be in the main product anyway. I think that second screen is powerful in terms of extending the world or connecting the users to the same lore. I think Fallout has done a great job with Shelter. And I mean, it wasn't a companion experience in the sense that it connected to the main game.
It was a marketing app, wasn't it?
But they did well and commercially, and I think it was a very powerful tool to actually really advertise the game and get people thinking about the game months before the game actually came out. So I believe in that model. I think that just moving features out of a game to put them on a screen, almost you're doing a disservice to to the players. Again, if it's important, it should be in the main game, and if it's not important, why would I use the the companion app anyway?
No, that makes absolute sense. Yeah. Another big trend right now, which we're going to talk about later today, is kind of eSports. Esports as a whole, and particularly mobile eSports, obviously, is a very hot sort of topic. Do you think? Obviously from you have games that are being used in esports and can be used in esports.
Yeah.
Activision as a whole is looking at that very seriously. And do you think mobile has a kind of a big role to play in the future of that?
I think so. I mean, I think it all depends on sort of the genre and the games that are popular. And obviously, sports works well with some and not so well with others.
Yeah.
I definitely see competitive games and synchronous competitive games. Yeah. Becoming. I think they will become more and more prevalent. As genres evolve. I think we are in a bit of a turning point as far as mobile genres. I think we've seen a lot of the same genres with different products attached to them being pushed out over and over again. Yeah. And I think now we're looking at an evolution as far as the underlying technology that allows players to really engage the same way they engage on other platforms. I think that competitiveness is a basic sort of human need or something that people really like to do regardless of where they are. And obviously in different terms depending on the platform, but there's no question in my mind that at some point, I don't think very far into the future people will start looking at competitive games on mobile, and at that point, and synchronous competitive gaming. And right now, there's only a few that have reached success. I mean, Clash Royale is obviously one. Hearthstone is not really synchronous, but I think it's close enough to indicate that there's definitely an appetite for that type of head-to-head gameplay. So, and when that kicks in, I think that esports will be a natural complement to that type of gameplay, and I think that communities will really embrace that. So yes, I believe in esports. Obviously, with Call of Duty on console, we have a lot going on with MLG, but I think that as again new genres appear on mobile, I think esports will be a big component. And if you look at China, that in many respects gives us a glimpse into the future. It's not always true, but it's often true. You actually see esports on mobile being actually quite developed, and there's money is being invested in big competition. It's purely on mobile. So
that makes sense. I've got a lot of other questions. I think one question I've got here is that Activision and the big companies like you're used to spending investing an incredible amount in the games. They're very, very big, very big kind of budget projects now. And obviously mobile's kind of getting larger. But do you see a time where the Activision or other player would be spending the same amount on a mobile title as a kind of console and PC title?
I mean, I think we'll eventually get there. I definitely see the level of investments in mobile projects only going up. That's driven obviously by marketing costs, which are already through the roof, and
that's true.
I don't see that coming down anytime soon. But I think also in terms of technology, supporting games, I think that will also require heftier investments. I talked about PvP and synchronous competitive gameplay, and obviously that requires infrastructure, and it requires tech that needs to be built. And although there are already examples of that out there, I don't know if they are as good or as or comparable to what people are used to when it comes to the competitive platforms such as console and PC. So I think building that infrastructure will require additional investments, and I think and if the industry is an example. I mean, if you look at what console gaming or console investments in console games were 10 years ago or 5 years ago and what they're now, I mean, they only go in one direction. So I don't think mobile is going to be anything different.
No, that's definitely true. Obviously, as you say that it's the back end marketing spend. It might not be the front end development spend, but the spend on marketing is probably getting similar already.
I think it's both. Obviously, the marketing is going to be the biggest ticket item.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to create that seamless experience, competitive experience, I think that also is a pretty major undertaking.
Yeah.
And a lot of the smaller studios might not have the capabilities or the expertise to do that.
Yeah.
So back to your question, I think in that respect, we have an edge. In that respect. I mean, I don't think it's just the financial point. I think
Sure.
Money in a way is a commodity, but I think it's about expertise and brands.
Yeah, no, the brand is obviously it's a shortcut to the user acquisition as well, and obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, on that note, I guess you might not be able to tell me this, but are you seeing that there's a kind of significant crossover between the people that are playing your console and PC games and the customers that are there for mobile games, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely do. I mean, we know that our community.
I guess Hearthstone's pretty.
Well, yeah, Hearthstone. I think it's probably an extreme example of like very very high overlap between the two communities. But even if you look at the Call of Duty community, they're absolutely engaged in mobile games. The beautiful thing I think is when you have a community that revolves around a game, when this community translates pretty well into mobile, and I think that's the powerful of gaming brands as opposed to just brands. Because people are attached to a brand because they are attached to a specific game experience.
Absolutely.
And so when the game experience or some form of that game experience is available on the other platform, you see people really engaging strongly, and you see actually better metrics because of it. I mean, I think that the fact that communities definitely translate very well across platforms. I think that the trick is to deliver the right experience on each platform, and that's that's the biggest challenge.
I've got one more question. I see there's an audience question. Obviously, I've been through the last 10 years of mobile, and it's kind of changed a lot. And the premium, I remember the battle when it was premium versus freemium. That's not a battle people talk about so much these days. So, obviously the free-to-play and games as a service model is dominating massively in the mobile space.
Yeah.
And it seems to be, from an outside perspective, because I'm more averse, more used to mobile than I am to console. It seems to be the same things kind of happening steadily with kind of either with DLC or subscription services, or do you see more and more of those kind of techniques going to be coming across to console and PC?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's on PC. I think it's kind of old news. Like it's PC free to play. It started a long time ago. But definitely, console games are moving towards a more engagement centric model. So engaging consumers, throughout the year. And obviously microtransactions. There's the live ops component to it, which is how do I make sure that people come back and enjoy new content, fresh content. There's always something new to do. And obviously microtransaction is how you monetize that engagement. But I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a huge effort going into even console games. And I can speak for our games, but I think it's true across the board. If you look at all our competitors, from EA to Take-Two, they're all like embracing, I think, that model. So I don't know if we're going to go free to play on console anytime soon, but as far as back end, yes, absolutely, it's something that
we'll keep an eye on that. Do you have a question from the audience? I've got a couple more, but we've got about 2 or 3 minutes left. Has anybody got a question? This is one of the most powerful game studios in the world. Here, a chance to ask them something awkward they won't answer. So, no questions? Oh, they're very quiet. They're very timid. I think it's the heavy night last night that has caused them. So, I guess I'd ask for you, what do you see as the most interesting or sort of challenging aspects, most exciting, I guess, most challenging aspects of working with mobile compared to your other platforms?
So I think what's exciting is, although not everybody, but I hear a lot of people saying that the market is mature. I personally think we're just at the beginning. I think that if you think about consoles pre the online sort of revolution that happened around early 2000s, you would see people saying, well, this is it, single player games, people are spending money, and then Call of Duty and Medal of Honor and Halo came in, and then boom, this whole new market opened up. And I think in mobile we are at the end of that first phase, and I think there's so much more that can be done. And again, I tend to use China as an example. They are fully engaged in online multiplayer, games, and there are hundreds of millions of people that play.
Yeah.
So it is possible. It's being done right now. And again, at the end of the day, the basic push or the basic needs that make people engage in these type of games are the same. People love to compete, people love to play with one another, and right now I think what you see in mobile in the West is relatively simple compared to what could be. So I think that the future is actually very exciting.
Okay.
And to the second part of your question, well, obviously it's not easy to pull off. So that's the challenge. Translating what we know in console and PC to mobile one-to-one is probably not going to work. And so we need to be really thoughtful about how we translate that experience to mobile. But I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Of course.
In the last 7 seconds, so we can have a round of applause, please, for Enrico.